anywhere in the world. Welcome to the Gaming Reality class. My name is Yonatan Gordon. Just a little bit about me. So I am a student of Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg. He is a chassid and a Kabbalist living in Israel. And I am a student about 25 years. I started asking questions in 1998. I found a rabbi that could answer any of the off-the-wall questions I was having. And eventually I moved to Israel and worked in the English department and worked on a book together called Frames of Mind. It's on motivation, the Kabbalah of motivation. So I kind of literally wrote the book on motivation. So, and it required a lot of motivation to write the book. I had to move to Israel with my family, and every step of the way I'm like, maybe it should be a booklet, maybe we're done. And but thank God it turned about 10 pages of an original class into 250 pages of a book. So that was a really good accomplishment. It took a lot of effort, but we're talking about what it means, first of all, to have a kind of like a growth mindset. And we're going to start with just explaining what it means to have a growth mindset and a challenge mindset, and what it means to take that to a gaming mindset, and to view all of reality as like we're immersed in playing in a game. So let's get started. So first, part of it is to see the interconnectedness and the meaning in everything. So a 30-minute class, so 30 relates to the letter Lamed, which Rabbi Ginsburg explains relates to a rocket ship. So you have the rocket ship that goes up like a Lamed, then it encircles the orbit of the Earth, and then it goes past and goes into space, and like the Lamed that goes above the line, the tip of the Lamed that goes above the atmosphere. So we're going to take off now. We're going to encircle the orbit, and then we're going to leave the atmosphere, and then eventually we're going to come down, hopefully within the time span. So first, so in these past 3 months, I've been discussing a little bit. I have classes every month. And we've been discussing a little bit about what it means to have a growth mindset. So first of all, the book that was referenced in some of my classes is this book, maybe some of you know about it. It's called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And so far this has sold about 2 million copies. And there she explains the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And we're going to explain that very basically, that a growth mindset is someone who views a challenge as something exciting or an opportunity, whereas a fixed mindset feels threatened or that it's just doesn't view it with a lot of joy and happiness. So one of the examples she brings in her book is kids were being tested, and they were the level of the tests, the level of difficulty was increasing little by little, and then eventually during some point in the class and in the testing, a kid exclaims, "Finally, something challenging," right? So finally there was a problem that they were testing with the kids with. Finally, there's something challenging. So that's the idea of not only being excited by viewing challenges as something positive, but being excited by challenges. So that's already like what we're going to call a gaming mindset. And a colleague of Carol Dweck at Stanford University, he's a neurologist, his name is Andrew Huberman. So he said that very good, the growth mindset of Carol Dweck is a very, very good theory, very solid theory, even from a neurological standpoint. But he added another dimension of it, is that every effort that we spend should be enjoyable. Every act that we do, every moment that we expend effort, that should be enjoyable. It's one thing to get a prize at the end, a reward at the end, some ice cream or some treat, but even better is to get the reward itself for the effort. And what do we call that in Torah? We call that a reward for a mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. Schar mitzvah mitzvah. And also very appropriate, we're talking about gamifying and reality and seeing the interconnectedness of everything. So this is called the light of the Infinite Festival. First of all, thank you to Erez Safar for organizing all of this. And so light of the infinite, what is the infinite light? That's Ein Sof, right? The infinite light of God. So what we're adding now is that to have a growth mindset or to have a gaming mindset, to view challenges as fun, is also, according to chapter 37 of Tanya, the central book of Chabad, it's also revealing the infinite light of God. It's bringing the infinite light of God from above down below. So that's something exciting, right? That's really fun, is that to think that every effort that I expend is fun and enjoyable and also reveals the infinite light of God in the world. So we went from a growth mindset to a challenge or a gaming mindset, and now we're adding the level of divinity, right? We're revealing the infinite light of God in the world. So that's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. So first, let's start with a story. It's actually to see a little bit of what we're getting at in terms of the interconnectedness of gamifying of reality. So I gave a class on Monday night, and first of all, on Saturday night we went to a supermarket. We had this idea that we wanted to get a certain type of frozen pizza that this particular supermarket was supposed to have. Ultimately, we didn't find it, but what we did find was this individual that was outside that supermarket, and he was asking people if we wanted our windshields cleaned. So we said, no, thank you. We probably actually did need our windshields cleaned, but we said no, thank you. And then we thought maybe we know this person, maybe he's Jewish. So afterwards, we had the thought. I was going to say some inspirational words when we came out, but by that time he already left. And it turns out that person actually showed up to the Monday night class. And not only did he show up to that Monday night class, we actually gave him a ride back to his house. And we're going to see him again on Thursday. And so this all comes together in terms of the interconnectedness of everything, from having this idea to have a certain frozen pizza to befriending somebody. But what we're getting at is also we have to look deeper at what people are saying. Right? He said he was doing a social experiment. And what example did he use? He used the example of cleaning a windshield. So maybe a lot of these things are subconscious. What does that mean to clean a windshield? Maybe that's an opportunity that he's searching for clarity, opportunity to give some inspiration. Right? We're not saying that this is something conscious, but these are the good things. We have to really listen to people, and this is the example that we're going to be bringing out throughout this session. So last Sunday, as I was getting ready for this month's class, I was speaking to my younger son, and he was telling me the process by which he was making puzzles to give to his siblings, to gift to them for the holidays. And he said that the first time he went about making puzzles, it was a disaster. He said he was using scissors and cardboard, and he was cutting it out, but ultimately the pieces were flimsy and fuzzy. But you can't have fuzzy pieces, and you can't have flimsy pieces to have a nice puzzle to give to your sibling. So then he decided to use his Swiss Army knife, but still the pieces were flimsy and fuzzy, and still not good enough to gift. So he was about to give up, right? But we said, growth mindset, you have to persevere through challenges. And he said, you know what? Let me try something. So he made an outline, and then he made a grid pattern. Right? You have the vertical and horizontal lines. And not only did he make that outline and that grid pattern, he also cut according to that. And then what did he find? Is that the pieces are sticking together. They're not fuzzy, they're sticking together. So again, this is a nice story, very interesting story about having a growth mindset about he wanted to give these presents to his siblings. And also, if we, again, look deeper, maybe there's some message here. So even if we're trying to piece things together, I'm trying to I was trying to piece together a class. And you have to make the outline, you have to fill it all in, right? So even something that seems initially to be like, last month I decided, I'm going to have classes on gaming reality. I had no idea what the rules of the game would be. So you just have to start. You have to start saying, okay, God, I'm playing the game. What are the rules of the game? What's the rule book? Well, we know the Torah, but I don't know how it applies in terms of gaming reality necessarily, or what I'm going to be speaking about. You just have to say, okay, God, I'm playing the game. So many, many examples throughout these weeks I've had about that people are sending me, just really positive messages about things that I can then in turn share to others, right? Like you're hearing right now. So there was a receptionist at the Holiday Inn, and he said, you know what you are? I said, I travel, so I live in half the time in California, that's where my wife lives, and then I visit my kids from my first marriage in Vermont. And I do that every month, and it's a lot of traveling, and sometimes it feels arduous. And so this receptionist at the Holiday Inn said he was on tour like 10, 15 years ago. He traveled throughout Europe and all these places, and he said, you know what you are? You're on tour. And when you start viewing it like that, well, I'm on tour, so that's fun, right? Like one of the games like playing with my kids is Ticket to Ride. So the longer the trip that you complete, like New York to Los Angeles, I think it's like 21 or 22 points. That's a lot of points in the game. So if you're able to do that, that's pretty. You're on pretty good footing. So when you start to flip it around, right? Flip it around, start seeing, like really listening to what the messages that people are trying to say, and try to really, it's in a way to help them to be there for others, and to be other focused, and we're going to be talking about that. So also a lot of people were saying, oh, flying must be so fun, like to really, put it into my head. It must be fun, Yonatan, it must be fun to fly so much. Okay, so it must be fun. So there's at the same last month, I brought the example of Chutes and Ladders. In terms of, we're talking about gaming, and at the end of the class last month about having a game mindset, I was talking about Chutes and Ladders. So at the same time as I was talking about Chutes and Ladders, my older son, so the puzzle son is the younger son. So the older son, who's 14, he was saying, he was writing a satirical piece for a humanities class about how very, very terrible a game Chutes and Ladders is. And pages and pages of all the examples of how terrible it is. One of them is that the pieces are massive, right? And if it's supposed to be for younger players, right? They have smaller hands. They're going to have to lift it, arduously with both hands, to take it from one place to the next. Another thing he says, there's no strategy involved. So you just spin, and it's totally no strategy. He also said the moment that you think you're getting ahead, and then you go down a chute. It's not only is there no strategy, it's and you have these massive pieces, but it's also you don't know if you're ahead or behind ever. So, but the thing he said that was all in all the most encompassing problem with the game is that it's not immersive. It doesn't hold your attention, your spotlight of attention. So when we talk about gaming reality, so every month I've been bringing a different author, a different book. So the author that I brought this month is Jane McConnell, and she has a book called Super Better. So what does she discuss in this book? So 2009, she had a concussion, and she had post-concussion syndrome. And this is a person that got her PhD in gaming, of how it builds endurance and strengthens positivity and resolve. And here she was faced with a very challenging thing. She was greatly depressed, and she was going through all these difficulties. She couldn't, everything was bothering her, light and sound. So she realized she had to game it. She had to game this. She had to recruit allies, her sister and then her husband and others. She had the baddies to avoid, which was crowds and loud noise and light, and she just worked through this process, and she was on a quest to overcome her post-concussion syndrome. And ultimately she did, and she created this Super Better game, which has now been played by over 1 million people. And it's helped people to overcome various physical, emotional challenges in their life, to help out with goal setting. You can go to the website. super better. And so this is very, usually think of someone with a PhD, someone in the ivory tower, but she actually, she realized, listen, I have to apply it. I have to live by these principles. And so when we're talking about, so she brings the example of Snow World. So Snow World is an immersive virtual reality game. And, it's pretty cool. You have a snowman, throw snowballs, you have caves, you have different things obstacles and things to explore and avoid. But what was Snow World created for? It was created by University of Washington researchers to assist with burn patients during the most painful and difficult time of their treatment, which was the cleaning and the redressing of their wounds. And they saw something dramatic. When the patients had these virtual reality headsets and the joystick, and they were playing this game Snow World, and they were immersed in this world, there was a pain reduction of 30 to 50%. 92% of the patients were able to focus on the game instead of what was going on with the treatment of the cleaning and the undressing of their wounds. And for the most extreme patients, playing Snow World was more effective than morphine. Now, they still gave them morphine, but it was more effective for the most severe patients to play Snow World. So what is this? What's going on? So it's called the spotlight of attention. Like you think of a computer, a CPU, you have only so much that you can process at a time. So either the mind can focus on one thing or another, especially when you're talking about something that's all-consuming. So either this immersive reality of playing the game, or you have playing, or the experience, or undergoing this treatment, this cleaning and the redressing of the wounds. So it had a profound effect, and it was really assisting and helpful to these students. So where do we see this in Jewish thought? Something entering an immersive reality, something that's going to be all-consuming. It's going to help our focus to stay positive and to stay upbeat about this world, and not only that, but to play our part in affecting positive change. So we learned this by Rabbi Akiva. So it's very interesting. We talked about my two sons, right? The younger son is the puzzle son. The older son needs to be immersive. Shoots and Ladders is the most terrible game in history. So these two sons, I used to read a book called Akiva, and this is the account of Akiva. It's based on Talmudic sources. It's written by Marcus Lehman, and what he does is he spins a narrative around the Torah authentic sources about Rabbi Akiva to make it very engaging, very, very interesting for readers. So for months I would read this as part of the bedtime story. It's a very poignant tale. Obviously there's very intense moments, but it's also very inspiring to see the life of this tzaddik, this righteous Jewish man and his wife. And so that was what I would read to them. And I began realizing in preparing for this class it's very nice. This book is a very good book. You can, if some of you may have read it already, or to buy and read it. It's a very, very interesting read. But we're talking about what kids today need, and what all of us today appreciate is to see all of reality as something immersive. I got this rocking chair, and I got it from a thrift store. I didn't pay that much, but I still wanted to try to keep it intact. And right away, my kids started gaming the rocking chair, saying this is the level 1 approach to rocking, the level 2 approach, level 3 approach. And I asked my younger son, the puzzle son, I asked him, do you do this to everything? You game everything? And he's like, yeah, he always develops games. He always makes, this is how kids today think. The older son is already programming games. And so we need to think in terms of an immersive reality. So we have Rabbi Akiva, and what immersive reality experience did he experience? He went into something called the Pardes, which is a mystical orchard with 3 other sages. And it says only of Rabbi Akiva that he entered in peace, and he and he left in peace. In Kabbalah, this is called a rectified rotzer v'shov, a run and return, meaning he went into this great mystical experience for the sake of coming back and bettering the world. Ultimately, the sages wanted to rectify the sin of Adam and to bring Mashiach. None of them were successful ultimately in doing that, but Rabbi Akiva was the only one to come out unscathed. And before they all went and did these Kabbalistic intentions, he tried to warn them, the other sages. And Rabbi Akiva said, don't think you know what you're seeing, because there's going to be these paradoxes, and there's going to be these things that seem contradictory, and don't try to make sense of it. And he said that when you come to the place of pure marble and stone, do not say water, water. So this is explained in Kabbalah, according to the Rizal. This is the place of the unification of the higher waters and the lower waters, which today we call the unification of Torah and science, of unifying. That's kind of what we're doing in this class, of discussing psychology and different things in the scientific world and uniting it with Torah. But at that time, Rabbi Akiva said, don't try to make sense of it. And also, Rabbi Akiva did something also different. He didn't try to attack the evil head on. Right? We're talking about rectifying the sin of Adam. So we're in exile. There was a lot of bad stuff in the world, right? But what he did was he accentuated and focused only on the positive, on bringing out the goodness in the world, right? That was his spotlight of attention, right? We talked about the spotlight of attention for burn victims was to play a positive game, a happy, fun game, right? So for Rabbi Akiva, this was to view the world as something positive. His teacher was Nachum Ish Gamzu, the man, Nachum, who used to say always, Gamzu Latova, that this too is for the good. So this is ultimately to view things as good, even if we don't see it now as good, to view it that ultimately it will be good. So this is Rabbi Akiva, and this is the entering an immersive experience of ultimately viewing the world as positive. So the life stories of a tzaddik, of a righteous person, are something that is something for generations to come, and they're very compelling, gripping tales, right? Like the story of Rabbi Akiva, and they should be something that can be learned as in our parenting and our education, as we talk to others, to really listen to people and really hear what they're saying, right? To really listen to for me to listen as a parent to my children. And so we have here Rabbi David of Lalov. He said that in the future, now we learn the tractate Bava Kama. In the future, we're gonna learn the tractate Rabbi David of Lalov, right? Meaning that this is like an epic tale, a tale that's really powerful and it's really exciting, and that we're going to really, it's really going to be meaningful and something that we're going to learn for generations to come. Now, a turning point in my life a couple years ago, 3 years ago, on my 40th birthday. So I went to the resting place of the Lubavitcher Rabbi and to the Rochel, and that same time was the same time as Rabbi Yitzi Hurwitz was there. Now, Yitzi Hurwitz was a shliach. He still is a shliach. He lives not so far from here in Los Angeles, close to the yeshiva, and he was there for his youngest son's bar mitzvah. And for him to get to the Rochel, to get to Queens, all the way from Los Angeles, so he has ALS, may Hashem heal him completely. It took a lot of effort. He had a nurse, he had Salah and everyone, paramedics and everyone helping him. But he wanted to be there for his youngest son's bar mitzvah. When he had the onset of ALS, his son was only 7. So he really wanted to give him that. And that same day that he was at the Rochel, that was my 40th birthday. That was the 8th of Elul. And it was his appearance was written up in the New York Post. It was a big deal. And that's the same day that I was there. And after a very, very difficult year for me personally. And so I told him, I was able to thank him personally. I said, for some months, the only Torah that I was able to learn was your Torah, because I couldn't convince myself that you were going through anything more, that I was going through anything more difficult than you. He was literally writing Torah, this weekly Torah, with his eyes through this computer. So you can write with the movement of his eyes. And so, how does that relate to gaming? How does it relate to flipping? We said our perspective. So his wife told the New York Post that her husband, when he talks about this disease, he tells me we got a promotion. And she goes on to say that now we can affect thousands of people because they see what we're going through and they see what we're choosing. We're choosing to see the positivity and the light and the goodness. And we talked about also, this is revealing also the infinite light of God, right? I had another friend, Yuri Dukes, who passed away young, and a few months before he passed away, he said that a winner makes it that even the adversary is part of his win. That's the whole idea of Parav Shalom Nafshi, that my soul is redeemed. In peace, that's how I feel, is that anything negative that happened to me is actually part of my winning. So it's to turn it around and to really take these messages. And again, this is immersing ourselves in the reality and the identity of a hero. So for Jane McConnell, she took the identity of a Jane the concussion slayer, right? But we said, how do we view it differently? Is that we don't attack things head on, right? We view it like Jane the healthy, right? God wants us to be healthy and happy, right? And so we learned that from Rabbi Akiva, that he didn't attack the challenges in this world head on. He flipped it around and viewed it as something ultimately positive. So we have, I was searching, we talked about snow world. So I just was interested in what is snow in Kabbalah, with some relationship. So Sheleg, which is snow, has the same numerical value as Ner Chanukah, as the Chanukah candle. So we have here talking about the infinite light within, and even when it's cold, and even when it seems like there's darkness and coldness, so we wear a lantern, right? And so the picture used for that article from Rabbi Ginsburg, talking about the value of the Hanukkah candle equaling snow, was this picture. This is a picture that they used. So even when it's cold and it's snowy, that we have this light inside. So we have to. What's our secret identity? Is to take our place as the hero of our own story, to immerse ourselves in that reality of being the hero of our own story. And we learn this from these great people. And today we talk about Avatar, right? It's very popular now. Avatar, Avatar 2, Avatar. But what is it? What is our secret identity? Is like the theme, like the inner point of that movie, is to immerse ourselves in our true reality fully. Over this past Shabbos, these two people were talking about acting. What does it mean to really act? And part of it is the interaction between two people. And so we said that you have to be there for the other person. We have to be other focused. But the other thing is that you can't just parrot lines. You have to really believe it and really immerse yourself in your role and know that you can shine your light to others and to light other people up and to be a lamplighter, to light up and to overpower darkness with light. So with that, thank you very much. Hopefully, if you go to my YouTube channel, Yonatan Gordon, just search my name. I'm giving a longer version of this class on Saturday night. Hopefully we'll have a recording for that. And to subscribe. And also, my rabbi's website is inner.org. And if you're interested, we also have weekly Torah booklets. This is Wonders. It's called Seeing the Wonders of the Torah, Revealing the Wonders of the Torah, being excited about seeing this in all of reality. So thank you very much, and happy Hanukkah. Thank you.